guys, and welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I wish all of you, before we start off, happy Easter if you're celebrating in the next week or two, and also a happy Passover. And yeah, I hope you guys have some time off and that you can relax a bit with your family and loved ones. And if you can fit in some simming to relax with as well, that's always nice. Alright, today I want to talk to you about what you can do when playing with elders. Because I've seen a lot of people say that elders are boring and it's just no fun to play them. I've made a video about the oldies where I just showed what I do with them. But I think there's even more things that you can do with elders, so I'm going to show you some things that I do to make my elders interesting and also to just enjoy playing with them in general. So it can be a bit tedious to just play an elder couple in their home, you know, with no kids, no grandkids. So if I do that, I generally focus on hobbies, gardening, working with pets. Maybe some of them breed some pets for my neighborhood, things like that. But generally what I like to do if elders actually have family is I let them spend time with that family, whether they live with the family or just invite them over on a regular basis. I try to imagine real grandparents enjoying to see their kids and grandkids, you know. In this household, I'm going to use this house to show you some gameplay and some ideas. This is just from a custom neighborhood that I have that's also downloadable. And we have over here Alec Langley and his wife Faye Langley. They live with their son Jasper Langley, his wife Kate, and their twins Alice and Audrey, and their little toddler daughter Alexis. Okay, in my gameplay. So there's some neighbors over. This is also a neighbor, Peyton Kruger, came over for a swim. This is his daughter-in-law. So yeah, we have some neighbors that visit. So I have more elders in this neighborhood. Now over here we have Grandpa, who's enjoying the smell of the food currently, and he is giving some smart milk to little Alexis. Her dad is at work, her mommy's here, but her mommy is also pregnant, and she's busy with the teens with their homework and their schoolwork, and so he's helping out and he's taking care of little Alexis. Here he also has a wand for his other granddaughter who doesn't live with them in the same house, to get an A+ report card. So he's very involved in his grandchildren's lives. He has a good relationship with his teen granddaughters. I like to imagine that they actually enjoy playing chess with Grandpa, you know. He's really good at playing chess and he likes spending time with them like that and checking who's going to win, and you know, he's pretty good at it, and he likes to train his granddaughters in thinking logically. So that's something that's their favorite thing to do with Grandpa, you know. I like to imagine that. And then we have Grandma over here. Let's just let Grandpa teach Alexis a little nursery rhyme. It can be some songs that he knows from his young days that he's teaching little Alexis. Now Grandma is sitting over here. She's having a chat with their neighbors who came over for a visit. And she also, just before I started recording this video, she was working out in the garden for a bit. So they have a really nice garden. They do have a gardener, but from time to time I'd like to send out Grandma and Grandpa to work in the garden a little bit, and I like to imagine that that's their hobby and that they have this nice little, whoops, what's wrong with this tomato plant? They have this little area that has some tomato plants that's growing there, and they're, you know, they like to have their own tomatoes that they can use in their food that they create. That I also imagine she's pretty good at cooking, and that she really enjoys using produce from their own little garden, you know, as well. So the gardening aspect of The Sims is something that I enjoy very much, and I feel sometimes when you play with adult Sims, they're so busy that they don't have time to really spend time in the garden. And when they're elders and retired, they just have the time to do all of this. So that's something that I find really fun. All right. And so they're taking their time having a chat over there. Jasper just returned and he brought a friend. He's a teacher, so we'll let him just talk to even more of their neighbors. There we go. Let's see what Kate is up to. So, in a busy household, she was obviously having a chat with her daughters. Oh, she's listening to some music. Okay. Mommies need time for themselves too. In a busy household like this with a lot of Sims, it can sometimes feel very daunting to have a toddler, for instance. But I think it's really nice if you have the grandparents be involved in this type of thing, and they take care of the kids along with, it's not like they're just babysitters, because that would just be awful if you're only using them as babysitters, but they're an intricate part of the family, and they just share in the joy of spending time. I find it really cozy to have wholesome family gameplay. Of course, you have some households that have drama in them, and even if someone's an elder, it's not to say that you cannot have some drama. But wholesome gameplay is just something that I enjoy and find cozy and relaxing. So it's nice when you have grandma and grandpa, and they're also actively involved in the household and, enjoying spending time with their family. Um, oh, yeah, she would like Alice to also get a scholarship. You can see that her granddaughters are also very important to her. She has a good relationship with them. And this is her other granddaughter and her daughter. Now, they do not live in this house, but she has a close relationship with them. So here's a family friend. He's here at the moment visiting them. And it's just really nice, to kind of host events where you invite family and friends over. I find it really fun to do that type of thing. And for instance, here we can have Grandpa, and he can sing her nursery rhyme with her, and he can play peekaboo with her. Let's do that. He really likes playing with his little granddaughter. And she's thriving. Isn't that nice? Okay, maybe Grandma can say goodbye to... She only said goodbye to her. Maybe she has to interact with her a little bit more. That's too far. We're just going to see if there's anyone else and then bye to everyone. Oh, they're sharing a special moment. Okay, that's cool. Whose doggo is this? Oh, gee, it's the Kruger's dog. And I kind of think that he's stuck there. Let's just remove him so we don't have a doggy that's stuck. There we go. Okay, so Grandma, you want to go relax on a chair at the pool? Maybe she wants to look up at the stars and just relax. She's kind of tired. Or she's taking a snooze. Well, that's nice. Grandparents can do that type of thing. Why not? Alright, let's take her over to the potty. Grandpa can help her out with that. And shame, I think Grandma's a little bit tired. Maybe she should turn in for the night. We can send her to the bathroom. And something else I really enjoy doing when I'm creating a home where I have elders and the rest of the family living together is I really like decorating the grandparents' room in kind of a maybe an older style. I use granny print or something like that, and I just make their room have this kind of country warm feel. I really like that. But at the same time, you can also decorate the room and make it very hip and happening, and say that these grandparents, are very stylish and they're definitely not old fashioned, they're kind of hip grandparents. You could do something like that. That could be a lot of fun. I love coming up with these type of little backstories for them, and you might have someone who doesn't want to grow old and wants to kind of stay with it with fashion and with decorating, and then you can have some of them that's just from a different era than their kids, so their bedroom has a very specific look to it that's like real grandma grandpa type bedding and decor in it. So that's something else I like to do when creating grandparents or having them live in the same home. All right, so that's some ideas that you can use. And I like playing with, I mentioned before, traits. So I also like building out, a Sim's personality. For instance, here we have Grandpa Alec. I've made him excitable, family-oriented, nurturing. He's athletic, so he's a very active elder. He's playful and can be a little bit childish when he's around his granddaughters. He's just playing with them, and age doesn't matter to him. He will still run around and let them tag him and play with him. That's kind of my mindset for him. And he's a bookworm at the same time. He loves reading interesting books, and he's a little bit shy. He's not out and about in the neighborhood talking up a storm with everyone, but his family is so important to him that he loves spending time with them. He's a little bit of a slob. He's not the neatest. Whereas his wife, she was a bit more academically inclined always, and she's retired now, but she's very, very clever. She's very disciplined. She's also on the shyer side. She's actually quite handy. and she has a great sense of humor. She's also a bookworm, loves reading. She's very good, and she's family oriented. So, I love building out their personalities. And of course, I use the aspiration benefits to show things that's important to them, and also their talents, kind of. And Grandpa has a point we can add to him. Or maybe we can give him this one. So I didn't focus on career because these two elders were created by me. But of course, if it's someone that's been working their whole life, then the work aspect of their aspirations will also be filled out. Um, if I always look at their personalities and then choose their traits, I handpick them. I never let it be randomized because it doesn't always make sense to me the way it randomizes it. I'm a bit of a control freak. But I love looking at their personality and then deciding what their backstory is. So, for instance, Faye loves snuggling up with a good book. The value of a good book is underrated. Hopefully her grandkids will want to further their education like she did, So I gave her a degree. I made her look like, she was very serious about studies and education, and she wants that for her grandkids. I carried that forth with her son, who wants to become education minister. He's also in that career, So I like having this kind of family legacy that's carried forth from the grandparents down, all the way to the grandkids. And then the question is, will the grandkids view it as important too? Well, it seems they have A pluses, so yes, it looks like there's success there. Of course, you can have one black sheep of the family that doesn't follow that. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun for me to have this go through, in the family. And then Grandpa's bio, I always write bios for my Sims. So Alec loves having his kids and grandkids with him under one roof. He hopes that they will all stay right here with him and be as family oriented as he is. Now, of course, his daughter in my gameplay, she moved out because she got married and had kids and, has a life of her own. But the next thing that I would do, for instance, playing this family, is I would invite over, the other grandkids, and let's just not let her pack in the dirty food. She can rather clean it up. Clearly, it's gone off. That's something that I would do. I would invite them over and spend time with them. So that's something you can do in your wholesome gameplay. Now, something else that I'd like to tell you guys about is other ideas, things that you can use. I won't go into all the other neighborhoods where I've done this, just simply for the sake of time, and I don't want you to sit through all sorts of loading screens. But you can have a sim that's really evil and nasty, a single old man or woman that you make something like serial killer, or just a loner who's into all sorts of strange things. That's also an option. You don't have to just have wholesome, kind old ladies and old men, living their best life with their family. So that's something else that you can do, storytelling wise, is just simply having your Sims, have such a personality that if you have an elder that's a loner, that has a nasty kind of personality, then that person can just be one of those that tries to let his cow plant eat all the other Sims in the neighborhood or something like that. You don't have to just have all your characters be the same. They all live in the house with their kids and they're all taking care of the grandkids. That's not necessary. But you can have a balanced neighborhood where you have some families who live like that, and then you have other families who don't talk to the elders at all and have nothing to do with them for some reason. You know, there can be a story behind it that you use. So yeah, that's just some more advice on playing with elders. I think they can be a lot of fun to play with. There's a lot that you can do with them. If you have elders that live in a household that have no other family, I like sending them out to the park and meeting other Sims, making friends, and just simply spending time with friends in the park, for instance, playing chess, doing fishing. The badges is a lovely addition that you can use with your Sims, and you can level up their badges. Now, I've heard some players say, "Oh, I don't want to spend time leveling up, the Sims badge, and then he's just going to end up dying afterwards. That's boring. There's no point." But I don't view it like that. I see it as, it's part of a story. And if you have your Sim, do some interesting things, pursue their hobby, reach the top of that, it doesn't matter whether they're gonna stay alive or not. I mean, all the Sims eventually end up dying unless you turn aging off. But I feel like the hobby system is something great that you can explore, specifically with your elder Sims, because they actually have the time. Whereas adult Sims who work do not. Typically they are just struggling to make ends meet if you play without cheats. Whereas, the elders, they've worked and they've already earned some money, so you can actually, and if they're retired, you can actually use this opportunity to have them pursue hobbies. So that's my biggest suggestion for someone who's looking for things to do, is just use the hobbies, pick a backstory for your Sim, and pursue different hobbies with them. If you have someone who has the science hobby, you can absolutely let that Sim be the evil scientist in the neighborhood and do all sorts of experiments that, that's just like mean and nasty on other people. Use the rewards that you can get. For instance, let's go to this one. I would, if I have a scientist, I would give him or her this electric and enigmatic energizer in the backyard, or in a hidden little shed to make it look like they're a scientist. You can add the thinking cap, to make it look like. You can let them use the weather notes. It can be so much fun, just kind of exploring these things. And of course, if they're mean, they can use the Sim back on other Sims. Or if you have an old criminal that they're pretending to just have this wholesome life, but actually they are busy printing money in the background, they're a fortune Sim or something like that. That's a story that you can go with. And if you have a police station in your neighborhood, you could... Oh, look, he's tucking her in. How cute is that? That's so nice. Grandpa really likes his grandchildren. He loves spending time with them. And look, she's dreaming about Grandpa. Probably because they had such a good time playing together. Isn't that just so nice? I love playing like that. Alright, so yeah, I hope I've given you guys some good ideas. Another idea that I will just quickly mention is, if you create, it will probably take a lot of your imagination more than anything else. But if you create like a library full of bookshelves, and you have one of your elders run it, and your other Sims go there to study or to pretend buy books or anything like that, that's kind of creating a community feel where they selling some of their old books to the community to raise funds, and you have some of your elders work at this like book fair or something like that. There's so much that you can do with this. You just have to be a little bit creative and sit down and brainstorm some ideas that you can use for your elders. Even if you are if you have a sim be very nature and animal oriented, you could have your elder sim be training the pets of the neighborhood. You can let your sims call in that specific sim if they have a pet, and he could be the pet trainer. So that's just some cool stuff that you can do with that. Or the cooking competitions is something that I would actually like to explore next with one of my female elders who have cooking as a hobby. I was thinking that I want to let her try and win all the cooking competitions. Because that's things that when I play with my adult Sims, I just don't have time to do that. I get so wrapped up in their daily grind. But when they're elders, that is the time that you can do that type of things. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful to you. It was fun just chatting to you and exchanging ideas. And I hope that you will use this as inspiration, and that you will let your elders live a fantastic life and an interesting life. And who knows, they may become your favorite characters to play if you explore all the great things that this game actually has to offer. So have a great day and happy simming, and be blessed. Goodbye.